What's up, everybody? Gate 7 International. We're back. First playoff win of the season. Feeling really good today. Marcial joining me as always. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I hope everyone is fine too.
And I hope everybody else is doing fine. It's a lovely day. Always love getting a good win on a Sunday. Before we get started, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you aren't doing it already. The bigger we get, the more new people check out the show, the more new people check out the channel. As we brought up before, almost 50% of the viewers that come into these episodes, especially recently, are not followers of the show. So subscribe if you like what you see. Like to help us get those engagements because that helps boost us up the algorithm. So the more engagements we get, the better it is, the further this can stretch. So help us continue to grow the red and white community. And quick little messages from our sponsors. Don't forget, if you are shipping anywhere around the world to Greece from the United States, Australia, the UK, or from Greece to any of those other areas, especially the United States, go visit our friends at Piraeus International. You can visit them www.piraeusinternational.com. And as always, Champions League is back upon us. Things are in full swing. We have the quarterfinals coming up. Really fun stuff. Europa League as well. Bet cards have come back. So bet with us if you are looking for a place to bet. You can go check out betus.com.pa. Use our promo code GATE7INTL in all caps. They give you a 125% deposit boost, which is a very aggressive match. Their odds are also really, really, really good. So check them out if you want to bet along with us, or at the very least, you can check out our bet cards to see what some of the best bets are for the day. Now, before we start chatting about the playoff match and post-match, we have a couple of quick shout-outs. First and foremost, guys, congratulations to the Olympiacos volleyball team for winning the European Championship against Maccabi Tel Aviv. They crushed the first leg. They won 3-0. And then in the return leg, they also won. They only needed to win 2 sets. They did right away. So they won 2-0. Clean swept the final. Congratulations to them. Big win. And another European championship being brought home. Also, ping pong. As of today, Olympiakos' ping pong team are also European champions. So congratulations to them. Olympiakos is bringing home European titles in multiple sports. We love to see it. And lastly, Olympiacos basketball had a big win. That is 12 straight victories against Panathinaikos. Mehritelus. It is fantastic. Guys, I'm not even a basketball fan. I can't tell you too much about the sport itself, but I've been watching Olympiacos basketball this season. They're a lot of fun to watch, and you guys should check them out as well. And then last but not least, again, before we get into some post-match, a quick little loan watch, guys. Doran Leidner, as you guys know, not just from the deep dive that we did about him, but we've talked about him a lot before his loan move to Austria Vienna. Doran Leidner had a goal and an assist today. I believe he got man of the match accolades. Makes sense. Very good game. It's a second straight start for them. He was loaned in the winter. Has looked good in both starts today, especially. I mean, he looked phenomenal. Great to see him doing well. I mean, we're going to have an embarrassment of riches at left back when the season's over between Ramon, between Doran Leidner. We gave you guys a little bit of a stat breakdown of Fortounis, how he's doing in Cyprus. He's looking pretty good there as well. So quick little shout to Doran Leidner. Great game from him, and hope he continues to have some success on his loan in Austria. Now, let's get to it, boys and girls. Let's get talking about Volos versus Olympiacos post-match today. It was a good win, 3-0, all from set pieces, Fortounis set pieces, of course, and we're going to talk more about his individual set piece takes a little bit later. There was a lot of discourse before the game because we had a couple of injuries, or I should say we had an injury and 2 suspensions. The injury was to Jan Villa, and so we knew we're probably not going to have him also, I think, for at least another week. He had a leg injury that's keeping him out. Hwang In-beom suspended. Pep Biel suspended. Very important as well, because for those of you that saw earlier in the week, we put some stats out leading into the playoffs. The Y-Scout Best 11 Index is what it was based off of. Some of our best players and some of the best players in Greece at these positions were not available to us. One of those being Pep Biel, the other being Hwang In-beom. And for those of you that didn't see the graphics, we'll show you them here. For the best center midfielder, Hwang Imbaum is the best center midfielder according to Y Scouts Index in Greece. Also, a second Olympiacos asset is up there, Fadiga. Also, so very nice to see two Olympiacos assets in the top 5 for center mids in the Greek Super League. And then for best winger, you have Pep Biel at number 1, playing out of position most of the year. Regardless of what you have to say about Pep Biel, in the Y Scout Best 11 Index, he is considered the best winger in the Greek Super League. So we were missing both of those guys today. And Jan Villa, I know there's been a lot of difference of opinion in regards to Jan Villa this season, but Jan Villa is, in terms of ball progression, the top number 4 overall in Greece when it comes to the number of meters in terms of ball progression forward. So he's a very important asset for us when it comes to moving the ball forward. And you saw today, without these 3 pieces available to us, movement was very stagnant and was very slow. What did you think about the movement that you saw today, Martial? Oh, Martial, you're muted, buddy.
I'm sorry. You said the word. It was very, very slow. Probably one of the slowest game I've seen since a long time. Because at some point I asked myself, like, why is Volos is playing for what? I mean, they don't have anything to win except the 5th position against Aris, but it's not going to be played against Olympiacos. So at least plays without fear, because you play at home, but at the same point it looks like a no-way game, because the huge majority of the stadium was full of Olympiacos fans, and it will be the same against AEK, against PAOK, against Panathinaikos. So I was waiting for them to come and threaten more the Olympiacos team, because we had some missing players. I just said it, but I don't know. It was so strange, because no one really wanted to do something, and the Kasami early goal kind of sealed the game for me, because it was obvious that Volos players did not believe in themselves. I mean, they probably. I would love to see the numbers, but apart from that draw in Karaiskakis, they got trashed like very easily in every big game this season. So they don't have the mental quality to bounce back in games like that. Like they are not able to do what Pasianina did, for example, against Olympiacos, or even Atromitos. So I knew the game was won at halftime, and I was wondering what would look like the second halftime. But I was kind of disappointed, because probably it's the kind of game you have to put maybe El Arabi, Valbuena earlier, like to give them back some confidence. But at the same time, you can't cheat like that. I mean, not cheat, but you can't take risks like that, because if the game turn around and you lose 2 points, it can cost the title. So
yeah, you're not wrong.
It's difficult to analyze games like that, because only the victory matters to me.
No, you're not wrong. And I mean, this has kind of been the story for Volos this season, right? They do play as far as the mid-tier or bottom-tier teams are concerned in Greece. We'll say the teams outside the big 5, right? They play a very open brand of football, all things considered. They don't usually seem to huddle back. They don't they play more open, is what I'm trying to say. But against the bigger teams, outside of the one game against us earlier this season, they haven't played well against the top 5. They usually just tend to roll over. So they've been a bit of a joke when it comes to the top 5 teams that they play against. So in a way, yeah, I'm not overly surprised. I was expecting a win today. What concerned me a little bit today was, yet again, and against Ike, I guess it's one thing, but against Volos, you expect to see better. And that was the fact that we had our open play was very poor again. You already brought it up. We talked about the slow tempo, slow buildup. And maybe that had something to do with the fact that you had Samaseku and Kasami in the midfield. Kasami wasn't really moving that much. You had James Rodriguez, who also was we know how he is, and he's also just returning for an injury, so we're not expecting him to exert himself and re-injure himself again. Now, the issue I have is forget just the open play too. Volos won most of the 50-50 battles today. And that's I haven't seen anybody talk about that because and rightfully so. People are just happy we got the win. We needed to get this win because Olympiacos is going on right now, and somebody's dropping points, and we're going to take advantage of that one way or another. But for me going forward, I have a question about whether or not our lack of open play is going to be sustainable in the playoffs. We already know that we've struggled against in the derbies all season. We had a big win against Ike in the Hagia Sophia that was really necessary for our mentality. But here against Volos, we're struggling. We're not winning these 50-50 balls. Volos won more of the 50-50 battles than us in both the air and on the ground. Something concerning. Maybe we can chalk that up to the fact that it was Volos and maybe the team wasn't playing at 100%. Who knows? I'd be willing to accept that as an argument. I hope that that's the case. But for you, Martial, is this sustainable for us in the playoffs to continue to play this poorly in open play? Because all of our goals, all of our dangerous situations came off of set pieces. We only had one dangerous situation I can think of that came in open play. The rest of it came off of set pieces. How do you see that?
Yeah, I don't know because I don't really think that you have to have a sustainable way of play to win a title in playoff because obviously the more creative team has more chances to win it. But like the game we played in Hagia Sophia, sometimes you just need to be efficient because rather it's by counterattacks or with set pieces. Those were two area in which we had so many issues since this summer because during the qualifiers in Europe or maybe during the first big games in Greece, we had so many situations. We had a lot of set pieces that did not produce anything. So yeah, of course, I would love to see it change because if Mitchell wins the title, I see him continue on the next season. It makes sense to see him being here this summer to try to qualify for European competition, and we will need an improvement in the playing style of the team. But until the end of the playoff, I'm not so sure. I'm not that concerned to answer to you because I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with the midfielder you mentioned, playing with Samafeku and Kasani. Those are like two heavy players, if I can say that. Especially Kasani. He's not probably the opposite of Inbeon in terms of playing style, in terms of qualities, defaults, what he can do, what he can't do, and probably it kind of affects the game today. And I told you on the chat, like I would have loved to see, for example, a player like Agibu today playing as an 8 because he would have done so many damages to Volos. And it reminded me the game we played in Tripoli years ago. I think it was with Podence and Camara, and we were winning 4-0 at halftime because they did not have any chances to pass the pressing wall that we were putting in place. And today, if we were able to do that, we probably would have won probably 3-0, but with another playing style. But that's okay. So at the same time, it means that we have many tools in the team, and probably I would give credit to Mitchell because the team right now looks more like a team than before. And we are good on set pieces. We can threat Ike with counterattacks like we did in Hagia Sophia, and also we have the quality to create. For example, in Karaiskakis when we will play against Aris, Pau, probably Panathinaikos. So we have more weapons right now than during the summer, in my opinion, of course.
That's correct. Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. I guess where maybe I get concerned is maybe it's like PTSD from early in the season, but I remember a time earlier in the season when we were the least efficient team with our opportunities in the league, the worst shot accuracy. I still remember posting that up from the fall. We literally had it was like 24%, I think, shot accuracy, team shot accuracy versus now, as you can see on a graphic, we posted this up before the playoffs earlier this week. We now have the best team shot accuracy in the league. We're one of the most efficient converting our chances, which is completely different. And this is kind of like the exact opposite with Panathinaikos. Panathinaikos, when they got their early league, it was very similar. They had a very low volume of chances, but they were very efficient with their chances, penalties notwithstanding. Now it's the opposite. They still have as few chances as they did before, but they're much less efficient with it. And I guess that's where my concern is overall. It's simply because I am waiting kind of for the other shoe to drop, as they say. I'm waiting for our efficiency to go back down a little bit. And then when we lose that efficiency, all of a sudden we're not winning these games with as few chances as they create. That's going to be, I guess, my concern more going forward. But I understand everything that you're saying because you're absolutely right. And the team is looking better now. And maybe that has a lot more to do with it. So if it's working, it's working. But we'll see what happens. We have Aris next week, which, will be a little bit more of a test than Volos. Those games are more difficult, but we usually are able to grind out wins. So we definitely need another one, 100% going forward. Now, a couple of quick individual shout outs. I mean, we talked about it briefly before, but Kostas Fortounis, 3 goals off of 3 Kostas set pieces. That third goal from a ridiculous angle. It was almost like almost as if it was like a corner being taken, and he puts a nice little curve on it. I guess it took the goalkeeper by surprise a little bit in the defender. He gets the goal off of it. The first goal, he whips the ball in, and it kind of deflect. It looked like it hit off of a Volos defender, and then the ball gets played and gets scored by Kasami off of that deflection. The second goal came off of another Fortounis set piece. It gets flicked on by James Rodriguez. And then, of course, Bakambu buries it into the goal. But 3 great set pieces from Costa. He's only going to get a goal. He didn't get credits for any of the assists. He will get, it looks like, 1 pass to assist, which is for the technically the pass to James' head, which gets hit to Bakambu. But for the first goal, he will not get any assist credits for it. How did you see his game today?
Well, it's the typical Fortounis Greek game, I would say, because he's coming back at the level we are used to see him, which means being the. I won't go into the debate of is he the best player of the Super League, but the truth is the most efficient player of the Super League, and because he started to play again, like, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, and in every game he played, is involved in an assist or a goal, because that's the Fortunis we've been known since before his 2 injuries, and he is a very big asset for Olympiacos, because we've seen that since he's injured, we did not find someone like this in the Greek league. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Europe, but in the Greek league, there is no one like him, because he's able to do it away. He's able to do it at Karaiskakis. And you mentioned the set pieces before, and I know sometimes it can be I don't know the word, but as an Olympiacos fan, you expect the team to play more offensive football, but having someone that masters the set pieces area is such a powerful weapon, because you know that when you play PAO, for example, or when you play Panathinaikos, they won't come to Karaiskakis to play nice football. Like, they would try to cut the game every time they have the opportunity to. So having someone that that good on set pieces, and it's not only corners, because today the free kick he had to take were kind of difficult, but he put the ball in the perfect area, and that's a very big weapon we did not have in Europe, for example, because if you remember the game we played in Europe, we could have unlocked some situation with another, for example, in Nantes, the first game, or I don't know, maybe against Karabakh at home. And sometimes it wins you points, it wins you games, very important games. But also in the build-up, we've seen he's very efficient too, because I remember the assist he gave in Aya Social last week. And yeah, the fact he scored too, it's important because he I think it looks like he is on a mission to to give the title to Olympiacos, and because first of all he loves the club, he loves the fan, he knows what Olympiacos represent. But I think the most important thing is that he has so many things to prove to a lot of people, including himself, maybe, because when you're injured like that, when you miss 2 seasons, when you have to go with the B team, when you have to accept a pay cut to go back with the first team, when you have to deal with the pressure, when you have a child, I mean, all that stuff at some point, mentally, you just want to prove to everyone that you're able to lead Olympiacos toward the title. And I think he's trying to do it. He's doing it for the moment. And
Right.
that's also a weapon that other teams do not have at the moment. No
Very
one in
true.
Greece has a players like Olympiacos, like Fortounis, because obviously in some games it will be bad. It will do a bad performance. It will miss pass and stuff like that. But you know that with every corner, every free kick, he's a threat. And so at some point, it will be important for Olympiacos.
Yeah, absolutely. And Costa, our lovely co-host, can't join us today, but he did have a question here that I think you addressed earlier, Martial. Real question for me is what we do with James with Fortounis in this form. For me, it's easy. You bench him and bring him off the bench, him being James. But will we? Um, I think, right now, because he's still coming back from an injury, I think it's easy to use that. But he is right. James, doesn't like to sit on the bench. And
Yeah,
are you willing to risk him being unhappy, especially if the team wants to bring him back for another season? That's a difficult one. I mean, I agree with Costa there. His Costas Fortunis' form right now is incredible, and it's exactly the type of form we need from a player going into the playoffs. Somebody that understands the league, somebody that's been through it before, and he's now hitting his stride again after 2 bad knee injuries, as we all know. Four
yeah,
goals, 4 goals, 6 assists now in under 900 minutes. It's incredible stuff from Costa. And that's not even to consider the other things that he's done. I brought up to you guys in the past. He drew a penalty that doesn't get him an assist on paper in a game, but in some leagues, they consider that an assist. He's got now 3 past 2 assists, but the guy's on fire. The guy is playing very well, and he's hitting form, peaking in form, I should say, right when we need him to. So it's great stuff. And speaking of players that are hitting stride and in great form for us, uh, Bakambu is also doing very well. 10 goals now in 13 appearances. He's putting them away. There was a lot of critiquing on Bakambu because he couldn't put goals away in a big derby. He did put one away in a derby, and now he's put one away also in the playoffs, the first game of the playoffs. And we're going to need him to continue this firing form. How did you see Bakambu in this match?
well, he is doing what I was expecting him to do, because when he came to Olympiacos, he came like super late in September, uh, but I knew he was going to score a goal because first of all, the Greek league is a good opportunity for a striker to have good stats, because we've seen it with El Arabi and we've seen it with Bakambu. I mean, players that have scored goals in bigger league will probably do it in the Greek league. And I mean, Bakambu was able to score more than 10 goals in a full season of Europa League. So we're speaking about high class strikers. And despite the fact that he missed a lot of chances, he probably missed around like 10 goals, if I can count that, with posts, with offsides, with missed opportunities. But he kept on scoring on those easy game or small games, if I can say that. And the goal on Hagia Sophia was the most important because, first of all, the celebration it did was I found it like it was a Friday celebration. I don't know the word, but sometimes a striker. It's like Fortounis. He had things to prove because everyone was saying, okay, Bakambu is kind of good, but it did not score in a single big game.
Right.
And I think it has to be Olympiacos' main asset for the playoff. It applies to Fortounis, but it also applies to Bakambu. And it applies to James because, well, about the situation, if you have to put him on the bench compared to Fortounis. Like the squad right now is made of players that have things to prove. Kasami today had things to prove too. I think it was probably the first time he was a starter since he came back. So it had things to prove and he scored today. And Bakambu, you know that he has that instinct to be on the area. The header he scored today was kind of difficult because it was a deflection from James, and he had to win it, and he won it because he was at the very good position at the very good moment. So he can reach the 20 goal in my book
Yeah. Well, listen, when
because
he first came in, when we were having the disaster early in the season, I still remember when you said, and I threw it up on socials when we were talking about Bakambu um, in regards to the Y Scout ratings for the best 11 index. You had said if we get any improvement in our build up or any improvement in our service going forward, Bakambu is easily a 15 goal striker, and he's almost there already. So, I mean, what more? What it's he's hitting stride exactly what we need, and we can only hope that he continues to do so. And guys, if you haven't seen it already, we did put a poll up. This isn't going to be a very long episode today. The bigger games, of course, the ones that are going to be a lot more stressful, we'll spend a lot more time on. But this is not going to be as long of an episode. So get your votes in for your man of the match. Some of you have already begun to vote. We're going to get into that segment not pretty shortly, I should say. So we're going to be talking about that. So vote for your man of the match. Tell us who you believe deserves it. I have a feeling I know who's going to be getting most of the votes, but maybe that's just me. Who knows? You guys have deferred from me before, but going back to the discussion at hand, yeah, Bakambu, I think has been. I think he's been a solid addition at the very least to the team this season. I understand why everybody was upset about him not being as effective in some of the bigger derbies. What better time for him to change that narrative than now? Started it with Ike. Let's hope it continues for the rest of the season. As far as maybe some other. Oh, go ahead, Martial. You had a thought?
and also if you look it further than the playoff, Bakambu will be ready for the summer, and
Right.
what Mitchell is doing with Olympiacos gave me so much regret because being pot one in Europa League this season with the squad we have right now with Mitchell. Okay, Mitchell is not a great coach in terms of being able to go very far in Europe, but I can't imagine Olympiacos being last of the group in Europa League with this team right now and with
Right.
what Mitchell created with Olympiacos since he came. And it gives me so many regrets because I don't know, because you just look at the conversation we're having right now. We are discussing who has to go on the bench between James Rodriguez and Inform Fortounis, and the debates in I don't know in September was, do Bowler need more opportunity to show he can play in Olympiacos? What to do with Wijo?
Yeah.
Is Conrad de la Fuente going to play again? And stuff like that. You know what I mean? And even the central defense right now is going to be is slowly going to be resolved with Ba returns, and with Socrates being able to help him, with Endoy being able to be a solution. And it gives me many regrets because probably we have chances to win the title, but I've been looking the Europa League this midweek and the Conference League, and I've seen teams like that aren't better than Olympiacos right now, and we could have we could have did so many great things, even with Fortounis in Europe. Just Fortounis on this team, during the summer, it would have changed many things. But if we look at further for the summer, we have like you mentioned the loanies coming back, but we also have Fortounis that will be probably a key player. We will have Bakambu that will be a key player. We have Pashalakis, who is doing a very great season since he came. We have Endoy that established himself at Olympiacos. We have some guarantees, and for the first time since a long time, I won't say I'm optimistic, but we have more. I don't know to say that, but we have more reasons to be optimistic for the summer. No
Right.
matter which European competition we will play in, but at
Well,
least
we also
we are not starting from scratch.
exactly, and we actually have a lot of players that have potential. You know what I mean? It's shaping up to be as if, we're looking at a lot more players, I should say, that we have more prospects for versus heading into an offseason where it's like, oh my gosh, we have so much dead weight to get rid of. We still do have technically dead weight to get rid of. We still have a lot of
Yeah,
players that are out on loan. But look at all the players. Look at the promising players that we have that are out on loan. Look at the promising players that we have here. You know what I mean? We already talked about Doran Leidner before, and that's going to he'll be a great asset. We have Ramon now that we just recently brought in.
yeah,
There's players for the B team. One in particular that's not brought up very much, guys. Right back for the B team right now, Nemanja Nikolic. He is one of the leaders in XA, expected assists in Super League 2. Just something to throw your way that has kind of gone unnoticed. And for the Olympiacos B team, which has not been consistent, and it's been pretty bad, all things considered so far this season, for us to have a right back like that, when we haven't had an option outside of Rodinei since we brought him in. We just have
yeah.
Adrutsos, who plays out of position there, or Marios Rusai, who's played out of position there. To have a real right back, a young right back that maybe we can make something out of, it's a great thing to have. We have Aliagic that's on loan, that's also getting playing time. Fotis Kitsos, we brought up earlier, who's doing quite well in Cyprus. I mean, we got thoughts from our good buddy Stel, the No Choftes podcast, who follows Ammonia, and he was telling us that overall, Kitsos has had a great season. He's been one of their 3 best players. Okay, he's 19 years old. He's inconsistent here and there, but great. It's great stuff from a 19-year-old from him. You know what I mean? We have Sergio Canos. Maybe if we can get him to stay, it's another great thing. I mean, we're looking at a lot of good players here that Michel, credit to him, has been able to build a decent core out of. You know what I mean? Something that we can build for the following season. So yeah, you're right. We have a lot more to be optimistic about versus going into the offseason last season. And we're sitting here like, oh my goodness, what are we
Yeah,
going
and
to do?
also the good thing is that we know that Mitchell probably you won't use it all of them, but all
Right.
of them will have one chance or more to show that they can do something. Because we, at the end of it, with 4 full season of Martins, we knew that the loanies, it was kind of a dead end for them because they
Right.
probably had no chance to play. And even with the COVID epidemic, we've seen Sorlis or Markovic play for Olympiacos, but they did not have the chance to stay in the roster because Martins was very, I don't know, he had his players and he wasn't eager to change it compared to
Exactly.
Mitchell because I it's fair to say I don't have many critics to do to Mitchell because
Yeah.
he gave Endoy a chance, and when Endoy had some issues after uh, the loss in the cup, he took him out of the lineup and he put back again in the lineup, and
Yeah.
he knows how to handle the squad, and I think he has been mocked sometime, and I remember this time in Marseille because the communication is using. It's like, okay, he's very charismatic, he's well looking, he's wearing a nice dress, and he has a nice smile, stuff like that. And sometimes it can create some critic because people would say, okay, he's not focusing on football. But at the same time, at the end of it, a lot of players that have been under Mitchell would say, okay, he's a great man manager. He knows
Yes.
how to talk to a player. He's close to them. I and I think it can be seen from the outside point of view. Okay, we are not every week in Hanti to see how he speaks to player, how he deals with players that want to play more, how he's going to deal, for example, with a player like Bitiki that came in January and that he doesn't having a lot of playing time. But in the meantime, we know that he's probably following every loanee outside the club, and what all of them have a chance during the preseason, because Martin's preseason was probably the worst thing to follow as an Olympiacos fan, because you knew
Yeah.
he was using the player. He was using, for example, Yanis Masouras, but he probably could have scored an hat trick and he would have disappeared anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and to your point, we've spoken to some players. We can't tell you guys who, of course, but we've spoken to some players and they said the same thing. He's great as personally. He's great as a man manager, like you already brought up before. And that was what we missed. You know what I mean? I hate going back and talking about Corberan again, but Corberan was a tactician, but unfortunately, we would have needed to say, look, the season's done and let Corberan build. And we weren't willing to do that. He was a tactician, but he wasn't what the team needed to turn things around. We needed somebody that was better for the mental aspect to get the morale up. And that's what he is. He, regardless what we have to say about him tactically, he did that part and he's got the players. The mood is great. The team is playing is at least better than it was before. We'd like to see some other things, but guess what? It's playing better. He's doing exactly what we're supposed to. What can we say? You know what I mean? Since the break, Martial, how many losses have we had since the break?
Last loss, Mitchell, I think, has only one loss in
That's it.
Greece. It's I in the cup.
That's it.
He wasn't
So
there for the derby against PAOK.
exactly. So as much as we may critique his tactics, as much as we may critique things about him, what we can't ask that much more of him. Yeah, we dropped a few points early after with a couple draws. I get it, and that upset a lot of people, but
Main
he's
critic
gotten us
has
this
to be
far.
with the main critic for me is the way he handles changes during a game.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's fair to say that it was probably the most smartest option for Olympiacos.
Yeah.
And it cost me a lot to say that, because I was probably I was very critical about Mitchell because he failed so much
You and me both.
everywhere.
You're not the only one.
He failed everywhere except in Olympiacos.
Yep, exactly. But you know what? Listen.
And it was probably his hardest job to come back to Olympiacos with that mess.
Yeah. No, you are absolutely right, Martial. I'm with you
Trying to
100%.
save Getafe in La Liga looked easier on paper than going to save Olympiacos.
Yeah, there's more pressure here. Way more pressure. I mean, look, I'm with you right away. While we're on the topic of the coach, Martial, let's just hit it. Man of the match. We're already talking about the coach. We're already talking about his tactics. We're already getting there. Go ahead, give me your man of the match and give me your coach's grade while you're at it today too.
Well, man of the match would be Fortounis, because he kind of decided the game. But also, I would give credit to Kasami, because a part of it, he did what he had to do in a game like that, and so he will have my credit on that. And for the coach's grade, I will say an A, because 3-0 to start a playoff. No one got injured. No one got suspended. It gave time to El Arabi, to Valbuena. It gave time to Masudas. I don't have anything to complain about. And if I can finish on Mitchell, sometimes I have the impression that he fits so well the club, like Lucescu fits so well PAOK for many reasons. You know what I mean? It looks like the man at the very best position, and it has to be seen by the way he talks to the media, because he's kind of good to that. And the comparison I'm doing with Lucescu is because Lucescu is always complaining about Athenian teams. He's always complaining about referee. He's creating this everyone is against us that suits the PAOK fan base, the PAOK as a whole club. But Mitchell, on the opposite, the way he communicates fits the Olympiacos fan base, the Olympiacos context, and that's why he looks happy to be there, and he understands very quickly compared to someone like Corberan probably that he needed no time to adjust to Olympiacos. So I
Yeah.
hope it will be something that will make the difference during the playoff because he knows how to win title.
You're absolutely right. At least in this context, you're 100% right there. Well, Marcio, I'm probably not going to change too much from you. My man of the match is also going to be Costas Fortounis. I feel like he's been my man of the match couple games in a row now, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever the case is, he's my man of the match. And yeah, I'm also gonna give maybe if there was one thing I could critique Michel for is at least in the starting lineup, I would have, my preference would have been to see Ramon. On the left wing, giving us a little bit more width. But yeah, all things considered, I actually wasn't too upset with Oleg today. I actually saw him get
No,
forward more today than I have in the past. Maybe the competition is finally doing that to him. I don't know.
exactly,
Having
exactly.
Ramon there. So
That's a good point.
I wasn't upset with Oleg today. I don't know how everybody else feels. I know there was a couple comments earlier on, people saying why was he playing? And I wasn't super upset with him, But that would have been my only critique from the starting lineup. Limited options for the midfield. If you didn't go with Kasami, you would have had Adruzos. So we haven't seen Adruzos play midfield all season. So I don't think it was a stretch to see Kasami start. In fact, that we expected it. So yeah, I'm 3-0. Did they have a shot on target all game? I don't think so.
I don't think so too.
Yeah, I
But
don't
that's
think so.
insane.
So
The number of clean sheet that Pashalakis have had since in game.
a number of prevented goals. Also, he had a couple of decent saves. So
Yeah, no, but
I mean, actually, to be fair though, now that I think about it, the Volos did have like one or two opportunities. They were blown for offsides. One that Paskalakis technically did
yeah,
save, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
was called for offsides. Now that I think about it, so that could be
No, but
why. But yeah,
it's
I mean, we can't complain about that. Now, looking at the fan votes, so you guys got our votes. Looking at the fan vote, Martial, I think this is the first time. Oh, nope, never mind. Somebody changed it. It was 100% for Costas Fortunis. I had never seen that before. And then just as I was about to say it, somebody went and voted for Kasami. So it looks
I
like Kasami got a couple of votes, but Costas Fortunis 97% of the votes for man of the match went to Costas Fortunis. So
I will probably do my compilation about Kasami because it's difficult to do a compilation with an offensive player that
yeah,
created 3 goals with set pieces. It's not to lower what Fortunis did, but I think Kasami deserves credit because when you do not play a lot like that, it's kind of frustrating, especially in a club like Olympiacos, because you don't come to Olympiacos to be on the bench, especially when you're Kasami. He knew probably it was going to be difficult for him, but it shows that Michel is able to keep everyone under pressure,
right.
even Samaseku, because if we look back, Samaseku was only playing like 10 minutes every game, and he had to play back-to-back games because in Bale and in Villa were out. So
Yeah.
he was able to be there and to be present, and that's hard to Mitchell to was able to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're 100% right. Well, we said it was going to be a short one today. So, Martial, unless you have any other thoughts, I've got nothing else.
I was wondering because I saw on Transfermarkt the game plan of Olympiacos, but we do play again on next Wednesday after Aris, or do we have the break?
Correct. I believe that's the case here. I have it right here. So we play
Because
against
it seemed
Aris.
that yeah,
Well, we have the international break. So first it's the international break, then we play Aris after the international break. It's in the 2nd of April, I believe. So international break, then Aris.
oh yeah, that's right. I
So
thought it was on next Sunday. I was wondering why it was so close.
yeah. So no, we
No,
have
because
international
it's
break, then Aris. That's
yeah,
correct.
it's Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. If we win the 3 games, oh my God,
Exactly. So it's
Aris,
coming to an
Panathinaikos. Yeah.
Yep, it's going to be big, big football. But until then, of course, we have the national team that's going to be playing. So maybe we'll do something for the national team.
Maybe Fortounis
Otherwise,
will play against the
maybe.
national team.
He was called up, so let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We'll be rooting for the national team as we always do. We're, as at the time that we're wrapping up the recording here, it is in the 63rd minute, it looks like, for Panathinaikos Ike. It is still 0-0. So we're going to be keeping our eyes on there. If it ends in a draw, it's
avoiding the red card again.
I don't know how Amrabat has avoided red cards. It's amazing. He shouldn't have gotten out of the last game without one, but whatever. I digress. Anyway, guys, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that button if you like the content you see. The engagements help us grow the red and white community and find more Olympiacos and Greek soccer fans or Greek football fans. Thank you, everyone, for listening, especially if you made it this far. We are Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans, and we'll see you next time. Όπου πας εσύ, θα με πάντα εγώ, θα σου τραβώ.